What's up, boss? You believe that? Hold on. Do you believe that?
What is going on, everybody? Say Cheese, 15 in the house. Tremaine Young in the house. Hey. What was that about recruiting? I swear, guys, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that this fan base is growing, okay? I love the fact that it's exploding. But I don't think you're going to find many CU fans that are getting their panties in a wad on the mentality or the methodology right now with recruiting. We are still recruiting right now at a level that we never have in a very long time, like since I was born type of stuff, or since around the time I was really little, all right? So you're not going to find me just losing my mind over what's going on with the recruiting. I'm not doing many home visits or any home visits. I do think, though, that things would improve, of course, if he sprinkled some in. I get that. But, guys, we're coming from a coach that did not seem to understand the value in Boulder at all. And so you're not going to find much complaining from Colorado fans having, these recruits come out here, all right? I would like to see Coach Prime get on the road a little bit. That's just me, because I feel like that can go a really long way. But, hey, let's go ahead and get into the main piece of news here. We got our first crystal ball. 3-star linebacker from Buford, Georgia. And I think we had somebody that was a commit from Buford. I'm trying to remember who that might have been, but maybe you guys can remind me. But anyways, Mantrez Walker, 3-star linebacker. All right. We're going to get to playing his highlights right now. Just bear with me for a minute, and we'll get this show on the road. And I definitely want to hear your thoughts. But, man, I love this. And I think that this is an opportunity, of course, for somebody like Coach Hart to, hey, maybe get within my good graces if we start recruiting a lot of these linebackers, okay? So let's go ahead and run the tape. This is my legit first look at this, guys. So we'll see what he can do. I think last year, I looked it up, his junior year, he had 56 total tackles. So, hey, that's nice. 4 tackles for a loss. And I love to see, again, the fact that we're targeting some linebackers, because that is a huge area of need. Hey, look at him hit that hole. I was just talking about this today with this type of front that we're going to run. It can leave some of the middle gaps open. And so you need your linebackers to be able to get in the interior, get in those holes really, really quickly, Miss Jobs, thank you. Couldn't have said this any better. A coach with 8 toes gets some grace. Damn straight. If that isn't the quote of the day, I don't know what is. All right. A coach with 8 toes. Dude, he's 8 toes down in this, guys. Okay. Come on now. We need linebackers bad. Hey, and if we're going to continue to bring in guys from Georgia, I'm not going to complain about that. Now, I do think we're mainly going after blue chip guys at the high school ranks, but we need some linebackers that can come in here and play. I think next year, or not this season, but in 2025, you would imagine that somebody like Victory Johnson, it's going to be his time to shine, okay? After his redshirt year, he's going to have his redshirt freshman year this year. He'll still have 3 years of eligibility. Wouldn't that be awesome if we get a guy like Victory Johnson going with another linebacker? I forget, just Jalen Wester, he's got like a couple years of eligibility, correct? So, yeah, the Georgia pipeline is getting strong. I would imagine the Texas pipeline is going to continue to improve as well with us going into the Big 12. And, I mean, Coach Prime is Texas. So that's going to improve. But Georgia, Texas, Florida, like those are 3 of our pipeline states. And if we can start getting a little bit more of Colorado's line talent in here to develop. I think that would be great. Again, I know I know we're bringing in some offensive linemen that are more plug and play. They're you want them to be able to play right now. That makes sense. But I think for the long haul, we need to bring in some guys that we can really mold ourselves. Um, we don't rely on a school to take care of it for 2-3 years and then we just get 1 year. I would love to get some more local guys in here, but again, there's not going to be a ton of Colorado talent that plays for CU just by how we are recruiting. That's just the name of the game. JB Smooth saying he was a 4-star. What happened? Hey, your guess is as good as mine, but I who knows? Who knows? But I will say, Mantrez Walker, I think it was, who was it? Anna Adams. Okay. She did this 6 out of 10, so medium. Okay. She is 85% on the year, 204 out of 238. She placed this one today. So we'll see how this whole thing goes. But Mantrez Walker, now he's like 6'1, 225. That's what he measures out on Max Preps with. So that's really nice size. Again, he still has another year of high school left. Maybe he could be an early enrollee. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? We're trying to get those guys in here early. And I was just talking about this a little bit earlier with the Julian Lewis news that he's visiting again. If we can just start to get just one commit, please. If we can just get one commit here soon, then we can really start building that momentum, which is great. Now, Mantrez Walker, he's supposed to visit here April 26th for the spring games. So I think that's interesting that he is crystal balled right now, even before this visit. And I think this is his first visit that he's had. No, he visited last year for the spring game. No, it's 2024 right now. So he has a visit coming up. And I'm going back. He got an offer from Colorado August 5th of 2023. Okay. Also had an offer in July from Coach Riz and with Florida A&M. So maybe there's a Florida A&M connection here. That's pretty interesting. Okay. But he's been offered by a lot of great schools. I'll read some off for you. Ohio State, LSU, Penn State, Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Penn State, Missouri, Louisville, Miami. I mean, Purdue. Well, I mean, they're not great, but that's cool. Boston College, Grambling, Iowa, or Illinois. So, yeah, a lot of good stuff. Unofficial visit to Tennessee. Okay. Offer from Stanford. So, he's got to be really smart to get an offer from Stanford, right? Because they have legit academic restrictions. I did not fill out a bracket this year. It was kind of timed bad with my traveling and just different things that I've needed to attend to. So I didn't fill one out. But I saw that Kentucky got upset today. What the heck? Hey, y'all don't fire John Calipari. You're not going to find a better coach for Kentucky than John Calipari. Come on now. But hey, I would love to bring in more linebacker talent. Again, I'm not picky. Usually these guys from like Buford, Georgia in the past, these would be some of our top guys that we would bring in. And I would imagine that we still have a lot more talent to bring in this 2025 class because we got no commits right now. All right. Isn't that funny? But again, to bring it back, I know that there's been a lot of debate about Coach Prime with what he said. Did I think like some of it was kind of BS, saying, well, certain high school coaches won't talk to me or send kids to my school or whatever? I don't think I really buy that. I mean, if you're a high school coach and you're taking away opportunities from your athletes, I mean, you're just a POS. Like, you're just a terrible person, right? So I don't necessarily buy that, nor do I say you got to save school money or whatever. But I do think that this is the strategy that he wants to take. And again, guys, I came into this whole thing with knowing that Coach Prime coming to Colorado, pretty much everything's going to look different from everything that we've experienced in the past at Colorado. And so I keep an open mind. At the end of the day, the results have been there for me. Now, I think where some of us can get really worked up is that and passion is that we feel like things could be even better if Coach Prime were to do more home visits. And I think I can agree with y'all there. Like I think that's a fair criticism, but I don't get the whole thing of like calling this man lazy or anything like that. Like I think he has a way that he wants to go about things. It's different. It's unconventional. That's what I was expecting when he's coming here. So unless we have a season like next year where I mean, our overall recruiting class, it gets to that UCLA Carl Durrell level where it's like 50. It's ranked like 50th. Then I'm going to start to be a little bit more concerned. But I mean, right now, we're continuing to bring in better talent. In my opinion, better talent from last year. And last year's talent was definitely an upgrade from how we've recruited, and especially in the recent years past. So, I think that that's kind of one little difference there. Like I've noticed, my best friend on here, Rawhide Media, he has a way different opinion about that, and I get this. Like he comes from SEC football. I mean, this thing is life and death. Things are a little bit just different out here. Things are a little bit different, in my opinion, with how CU fans look at this because of where we've been. Okay, uh, and where we come from. Again, some of y'all I don't think realize like how hard it has been to win games here. I mean, I remember after the Arizona State game, so many of us were pissed off that they won, but it didn't look pretty. I'm like, guys, like you you just got to appreciate a win whenever you can get it. And I think that this is one of those circumstances where if I think if you followed the team for a bit longer, there's a little bit more grace and patience and leash with things. So it's funny to me how like this whole thing has become like a really big talking point and issue. And I think that again, I think we've had great results. I think we could have better results, if we got home visits. But this is something to me. I view this whole thing as a really grand experiment. I mean, you're recruiting differently. There's a prioritization around putting content out every day. You're essentially running multiple documentaries, filming multiple documentaries every day and throughout the year. They go on YouTube, they go on Amazon. You're doing a lot of things to bring in attention, and uh, I think you can argue that Coach Prime sees his time better spent doing those things rather than hitting the road a lot of the time. So, again, I think it's I don't think it's fair at all, and I think it's wrong. I've seen some of the comments on Twitter, guys calling him lazy or con artist and stuff like that. I think he's very hardworking. I mean, you see the work that he's putting in. I think he's just choosing to spend his energy a little bit differently than how college football head coaches have conventionally done things. And yeah, like again, I think there's fair criticism, but then I also see like I feel like people are taking this like too far. Now, I'm pumped about Mantrez Walker. Because we get this guy, I'm going to say, hey, credit to you, Coach Hart. You're getting our first commit of the 2025 class because I have been skeptical of Coach Hart. Seems like this guy, again, this is my first look, guys. I'm sorry that I'm not taking you through a play by play like I normally do, but it seems like he's got a good nose for the football, playing at a really high level of football, at Buford, Georgia. So that's always good. And we need inside linebackers, especially with this defensive scheme. Like I was saying, from what we were looking at practice this week, our inside linebackers, man, they need to be about that life, getting in there, making some big hits right in the middle of the play, getting there in the interior. They need to be ruthless. And I think he already has a college sized body, 6'1", 225. So, hey, if he's able to put on even more weight and still maintain his speed or even improve his speed, I think this guy could really be a weapon of some sort. So, I think that this is great news. I find it hilarious and ironic that this is coming out after some of the comments that he's made. But again, guys, like if Carl Durrell was having Chandler Durrell, or if he had a coach on or a kid on the team go to a Louis Vuitton fashion show in the off season, like we would probably be like WTF. But again, with Coach Prime, things are just different. Like I just understand that this whole thing is just different, and I embrace the difference. I mean, we've seen the results. And again, if you followed this team for years prior, you weren't watching Jackson State, just dominate everybody, um, and experience some really disgusting losses in the recent years prior to Prime being here. Um, there's just I think sometimes a little bit different of a way of making sense or rating things. We had a 3-game improvement this year, okay? That's decent. Could it and should have it if I can talk, could or should it have been better? Yes. But still, 3 games is a great foundation to go into year 2 with. And my hope is that we can gain another 3 wins. And then everything on top of that is gravy, baby. So I'm giving us like 9 wins right now. Now, I got to be honest, like right now, I've kind of been teetering a little bit more on those 8 wins. I'm just being honest with you guys, but it's just because there are some really tough opponents in the Big 12 that I feel like we're not giving them their full due or credit. So, anyways, that's beside the fact. All I'm saying is that right now the results have still been there. Right now you're still seeing this thing improve, and again, Coach Prime's going to do things his way, and I guess it all comes down to your expectation. But until we have a disastrous recruiting class, I guess you could argue that our high school was disastrous because it's ranked like what 115th in the country or something like that with the 6 or 7 guys that we have. But it was very clear the strategy from this year was to go transfer portal heavy. Coach Prime can't afford to lose with Travis Hunter here and with Shador here. He cannot, and especially going into year 2, like he cannot have another losing season because I think the biggest thing that's going to impact recruiting, in my opinion, is just the wins and losses. And so we better win. We better win, and I believe we will. Prime Sports Media. I checked out your live stream the other day. Appreciate you, man. Let's be sure to link up like next month or something like that, okay? Whenever you're settled and I'll be back in town, back home. So yeah, the schedule's been a little bit crazy, but much respect to you. Thank you. And y'all go subscribe to Prime Sports Media as well. All right, gonna go through these for just a little bit. Let's see what else we got here. Surfer. I think Coach Prime is not a fan of the obsessive courtship of 17, 18-year-olds on a daily basis. And maybe that's another reason why he just goes transfer portal heavy. And especially now with that rule being official that guys can transfer multiple times without having to sit out. You really could see that maybe we were just a little bit ahead of the trend with these high school classes just being much smaller in general, right? Yeah, Miss Job says I can't see Coach Prime, his security detail, and entourage pulling up to the hood. It would be pandemonium. I think it would be depending on certain places that he's going to, but there are also some other places that he could go to where like it could be done, Um, again, I think a home visit for a guy like Julian Lewis could probably go a long way, right? I, you know, I, again, and that's just my idea, but it's like I love the fact again that he's and you can say he's BSing it or whatever, but I do find value behind it because we've had coaches here in the past that have not valued what Boulder has to brings to the table, does not value the atmosphere or anything like that. And so, like, some people might just see that as him making lazy excuses or whatever. I just want the people to come out here. But again, as a Colorado Buffalo, as an alum of the university, there has needed to be a greater emphasis on being there, on experiencing Boulder. And this has been a conversation that we've had as fans for years prior to Coach Prime being here, which has been like, guys, like we need we need guys bringing recruits out here more often to see how things are going. So that's why you don't see me getting my panties in a wad nearly as much as, as some of my other YouTube friends and counterparts. It's just I think I just got a little bit different of a perspective. David, do you agree with Trevor playing outside linebacker? Does that make any sense? Was he playing outside linebacker in one of these clips? Don't like that. If that's the case, maybe that was just some scout team stuff. They're giving the defense a certain look. But you got to give me some more detail on that. And um, yeah, I don't like that idea at all. I think he's way better suited for the inside. And I know he's a little undersized, but we saw him playing a little bit outside last year, right? Dave, when Georgia loses, thanks God, thank God it's not often. I may not sleep well until the next Saturday, and God forbid it's an off week. See, yeah, I mean, you guys are a different breed out there in SEC country, and don't get me wrong, I love all the fans coming from SEC country, but it you can kind of tell like who's been around SEC and maybe who's been around Colorado prior to this whole thing, because I think we've had way different reactions to those comments, and I think it's funny. Joe Davis. New York Times bestseller is literally the problem. What? Oh, you guys are ruthless as always. What do you mean by that, Jonas? You got to expand on that because I'm reading that in a few different ways. Okay, and I want to say this. Who was the reporter? And I'm really sorry if this was my good friend Adam Munster Tiger. I don't think it was though. Somebody asked Shador if he's read his dad's book. Come on now, man. The guy is Prime's son. He's around him every day, pretty much around every day his whole life. Why is he going to read that book? Come on now, man. Okay, yeah, Alan Keith, I'll get to this. Prime explained why he can't do home visits in a recent video. In short, if he comes to an area for a visit, everyone in that area expects him to drop in or there feel slighted. And again, take this with a grain of salt because I'm not from Fort Myers. I'm not from those areas, okay? But I would think that some people would that's I don't fully buy that just because it's like I think a lot of people will understand like he's there on a business trip. And let's say you take Fort Myers and like Florida out of the equation, okay? You're going to go visit Julian Lewis out in Atlanta. Or you're going to go visit for instance, Bryce Underwood up in Michigan. I think that there are some places where he could go where you're not necessarily dealing with that sort of level of expectation. So that's why I just say, just sprinkle some in. Yeah, and I think it can only help with some of these really big blue chip guys. David, how can our linebackers take down these 240-pound running? Okay, we have how many 240-pound running backs are we dealing with? The Oregon State game was rough. Yes. I think Ollie Gordon is like what 230. Let me look. I know I'm probably splitting hairs here, but I'll try and get my facts straight. 212 pounds. Okay. We can tackle the Big 12 running backs, okay? We just got to tackle and we got to be disciplined in keeping our gaps. I think we did improve our linebacker room. Now, do I want to see it continue to improve? Yeah, I do. But I think Jalen Lester is going to be great. Trevor Woods, he's going to be better than he was last year, having a full offseason to train at linebacker. It better be inside. I think Bentley's going to be better. I mean, he's going into like a sixth year. He has to have his best year coming up, right? And then we got a guy like Keaton Wade, who's 245 pounds. Okay. If he plays a little bit of inside, that's great. And the biggest thing, to Tremaine, that I think we're going to see a difference with, hopefully, is that our defensive line play is going to be better. The interior play is going to be better. And so these linebackers aren't having to, you know, go after these running backs in an open field tackle, that's running through a hole like 8 yards wide. Jonah says the first commit of the 25 class lets me know that he will only get 5 to 7 high school players again. My hope is 15, which I don't even think is like too crazy, but we'll just have to see. We're going to have a lot of starters to replace next year. And I think Jonas, it right now they're they double down on the transfer portal strategy from last year. It would not surprise me if they just continue to want to do that, especially with the free transfer rule coming out. Again, we'll see kind of how this whole thing goes, but it's totally, for the most part, very unconventional. And hey, you gotta, as a Broncos fan, we've had so many head coaches and stuff come in here and, uh, you know, waffle their way through saying, now we're going to go this way. Now we're going to go this way. At least he's picking a direction and going with it. So we're going to see this thing through and we're going to see how it goes right now. I think we got good enough results to justify continuing to go along with his plan. But if things are to go disastrous, or if we have a 5-win season or a 6-win season, I think that things, might change on, you know, I think there might be some conversations, about strategy, recruiting, some things will need to change, right? But right now, we're going to continue to ride this thing out. We'll see how it goes. See, that's exactly what I was saying, Brent. You might have beat me to this. Transfer portal rule change, more transfers available. So high school players less valuable. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, yes, we'll have to do it. Prime Sports Media. You can work in all your fancy sound effects too. I don't have any of that. Trevor is still a linebacker. He was in Coach Hart's room. Yeah, but outside? Not outside. Okay, so if he's in Coach Hart's room, he'll be playing inside. Well, Alan Keith, but Jalen Wester's the same size as well, and he actually might be 205. So you do see, there is a trend where you get more of these smaller, speedier linebackers. I think that the thing with Trevor is that he's not exactly the speediest guy either. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But hopefully, again, he was done no favors moving to that position midseason. And even if he's out of position, as an inside linebacker, I do think if he sticks here, he will look better than he did last year. That's my opinion. Yeah, I'm an SEC guy rooting for Colorado's success, and I love it. What do we have to do to get into the SEC? Like, what do we have to do? Please, please take us when you guys expand. Man, we'll do anything. We'll do anything. We'll play in the SEC after dark time slot. I would hate it, but I would do it. I would do it. I would sign us up to do it. Get us in the SEC. Get us in football royalty. Oh, please. Oh, please. It'll just be a dream of mine. Because going into this, Stevie Davy, y'all know that Colorado isn't a blue blood program, right? Thank you. Thank you. That's why you just don't see me get my panties in a lot about this, guys. That's why you don't see me just freaking out. Again, I'm seeing incremental improvement. And I mean, we can debate this home visit stuff. Again, I do think things improve if Coach Prime just sprinkles some in, but it's like, hey, we got Jordan Seaton without an in-home visit. Okay, which that was a huge surprise. Did Coach Prime visit Travis Hunter's home? Y'all can let me know that. I'm under the impression that he didn't, but please, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. He's got a plan and he's sticking to it, for better or for worse. And I'm just not freaking out. It would be really cool if we could get to the point of being a blue blood program, but that, like, takes decades. That takes decades of consistent success, right? Don't believe that the top high school players will always be more valuable than the top portal players. Don't believe that the high school players well, I still think that there's value in high school players, and, uh, again, I think Jordan Seaton's gonna be our starting left tackle. I don't think we were gonna get a good left tackle in the portal, like, if I remember correctly, if there was a good one, I mean, I don't even know. I feel like most of the guys that were being talked about were all right tackles, right? Yeah, thank you. I'm starting to get on board again for Team Trevor. He might be the guy I glaze on during my glaze episode. We'll have to see. Yeah, he didn't visit Cormani's home either. Terry Mojo. That's totally a great point. Trevor runs a high 4.5. That's moving. If he does he run a 4.5? That is impressive. Right now, you're right. We don't want it, but hey, let's say the SEC expands in 5 years, right? Hopefully, we're making a bid. We're making a solid case for ourselves, but we'll need to expand our stadium. That's for sure. We'll need to expand it, and because it is half the size of some of these SEC stadiums. Gearhead saying Trevor ran a 4.48 last year. Wow. All right then. All right, guys. Let's see what else you got. Trevor Woods running a 4.48. I mean, that's just great. Um, yeah, why is he a 3-star? Thought he was a 4-star. Well, he's a 3-star now on 24/7. So I'm not sure when that was adjusted, but he is an 88 on both 24/7 and composite. 55th linebacker in the country, 54 player overall in Georgia. And it seems like his top competition right now, vying for his commitment: Colorado, Stanford, LSU, Miami, Ole Miss. Lovely. But he only has one other visit scheduled. He's scheduled to visit April 26th for the spring game. No snow. Y'all be praying that we get no snow this year. That negatively affected recruiting. We don't want to talk about how our bipolar April weather that we get, it just it really bit us in the ass last year, you know. But he's visiting Stanford June 6th. That's it. He has no visit scheduled for LSU, Miami, or Ole Miss yet. Oh, you know, y'all need a baseball team to join the SEC. Well, Colorado does have a lot of great baseball talent come through here, and yeah, you're talking to the wrong Colorado guy because I hate baseball, but I know that Coach Prime wants us to have a baseball team, but just yeah, I'm not team baseball. Why can't y'all have ski teams? Coach Prime says his goal is to be a playoff team this year. That means you can't lose more than 2 games at most. And that's if you're lucky. And that needs to be his goal. Like, don't get me wrong. Like Alan Keith, like I'd have a real issue if any coach came in here and said they were just hoping to get to 7 wins or yeah, they're like at minimum, you need to say like we're gonna go win the conference. Just like it's like every head coach in the NFL says we're gonna go win the division, make the playoffs. Like if you're not preaching those types of things, there's something wrong with you. Now, I think as a fan, we have the ability to kind of parse through coach speak a little bit. You have to be telling your team that, but we can look at the roster more objectively and say a lot needs to go right for us to get to 10, 11, 12 wins right now. A lot needs to go right. But that's kind of been like one of the surprising things that like within since I started this channel is that we've had a lot of people that say, "Hey, well, Coach Prime said this, so I'm holding them to that expectation." I just don't know if that's always fair. All right, guys. Well, I am going to call it a night. I'm sorry that this is a little bit shorter of a live stream, but definitely wanted to get on here. I appreciate y'all's patience with me as I am working on a different schedule for the next few days. So I will be back tomorrow. As always, y'all be sure to uh, hit that like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on the replay. Subscribe. And as always, everybody, go Buffs.